Hello, everyone. How are you?
Hey, I'm all right. How are you, Kai?
Good, man. Good to see you. So let's see. Our meeting again, and we're kind of reflecting back, thinking about our meeting with Suzita and thinking about the comments that she shared and her kind of perception of what that space was. Um, I think when we end this meeting last time, we were kind of thinking about the idea of the placement and the location and the place of this. It's in this weird kind of digital space as it is now, but we're also kind of thinking about the idea of it, both in the landscape of where it is in time, whether it's in history or not in history, whether it's in space, if it's an object and non-object. And so we're still arriving at and kind of orbiting around a lot of these kind of interesting questions that I think have always been there. And I'm excited that they're kind of still there in a large ways because there's kind of this nice buoyancy between like it existing between multiple places. But I think as an exercise, what we tried to set us up for was to maybe create some type of map to look at how these things could work together or think about possible formats for where they could exist. And so maybe, do you want me to share mine first and I'll just
Yes,
show you
yes,
what that
go
looks
ahead.
like? Okay, so the way it started was I was trying to think of like a general idea for uh, a format of multiple rooms working together. And I thought of the idea of like a double helix, like DNA strands, something that kind of connects us all and that like almost through a microscope and connects us at a very cellular level, but then at the same time like has the ability to be expansive outward. So I thought about the idea of double helix, and then I thought about the idea of like rooms rotating through that navigation. And so like here's sorry, it's a little hard to see, but here is one space. So it's just a little small room that we have here, and then as it goes up, it rotates along this helix. But then I added the double helix part, so the other side of it. And then what I tried to do is at the beginning of this, the rooms are facing each other here and here. So they're actually almost like the catapult facing one another. But then as it rotates up further and further, the rooms actually start rotating away from each other. So once you actually get to the very top, the rooms are actually facing the same direction. um, which I don't know. I guess I was just trying to think of the concept of like using the devices that we've been mentioning and the idea of broadcast and reception and the idea of like magnetic poles and polar opposites kind of all working together in space. I've never felt more like an architecture student in my entire life than trying to design something like this. um, but I don't know. This is kind of like what I came up with. Is like this really weird idea of them being in like gallery, not gallery, space, not space, but the idea that like they're kind of always interacting or not interacting with each other as you're kind of flying through this space. So I don't know. It's a little strange.
Yeah, wow. I think it's great. I think it's great and very this thing is very similar to what I did. I know we had mentioned that we should give some homework to each other, and we set out the task
Yeah.
to map these rooms, this space, this possible venue, this way of showing our work. And I did something rather similar.
Yes. Oh, amazing.
Okay, so this is I did this in AutoCAD.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
I did this like from up here. It looks like an arrow or a speaker.
Oh,
Um, that
yeah.
was that wasn't really the plan, but that's
That's
what
fun.
I ended up with. And I thought of doing so. So first there is this first room. So this actually you can discuss like it's all up for discussion, but it's like entering this room and then having two parts, and these two parts will take you to two other rooms, um, and the viewer could walk through this corridor or through this corridor, and in the middle we can have the device this could be the actual catapult, or something that stands for it. However, this is all like exterior architecture of the space. So one should imagine walking through this whole maze. And the reason I did these arches, it's like empty space inside, where the catapult would shoot the projectile.
Oh, I love that. That's hilarious. That's
So
really
yeah,
funny.
so the projectile would go all the way to the side rooms. So I thought of guiding the viewer first, after entering the first room, which would be, I think, I've written down that it consists of drawings and idea generation, the first room. So upon entering here, and then in the second rooms, so 2 and 3 or whatever, there are the things that are sent, the projectiles. And this could also be whatever we want, but these are the things that the catapult would send. And then as the viewer walks through the hallway, he or she would approach the main chamber, like the central chamber, which would have the catapult. And this is like taking either one direction or the other. So it's like a circle, but you have only one choice to discover first. So if you end up in the main chamber and then go back to one of the side rooms, you will end up in the first room again. And then after this main chamber, I thought of the kind of exit part, so the last room, but I wasn't sure how to what to label this room as. But anyway, I thought of yeah, this kind of funny looking architecture, and if it would have existed or built in a large hangar space or a large warehouse, this is how it would look from the outside. And funnily enough, it looks like a heart from this.
That's really funny. That's
So
hilarious.
so yeah, I mean, this is what I came up with, which is like is almost in parallel on what you came up with.
Yeah.
So I think we have like not similar approaches, but an interesting outcome.
I love that. You know what I really like about this format is that like you have that first generator space or that first like that room, and then you kind of diverge off into the other rooms. And so in room 2 or 3, I'm guessing that's just what you'd call the rooms at the ends.
Yes, yes, yes.
What I like about that is like when you approach the catapult, when you like move towards the center, you can only see, I'm assuming, one part of it, right? Like you
Yes,
only see
yes.
one. And so there's something really wonderful about like, it reminds me of, there's this like wonderful Anish Kapoor sculpture, I think it's called Memory, where it's just this giant Corten tank in the middle of a room and you can never see the full thing. Like you can go in one door and look at it, but to see the other side, you have to leave the gallery and come back to the other side of the gallery and come in. So you can never actually see the full thing. And the idea that like it's called Memory because you have to like assemble it together, you know, which I think is kind of wonderful. It kind of reminds me of that wonderful format of like, there's this thing that's always kind of happening, there's this thing that's always moving, but like you're never able to really conceive of the whole thing altogether without, you know, this like doing the mental math to try to make it happen. That's really exciting. I wonder if there's a really fun way to kind of put this all together, because it's like maybe that space that you designed would be really great for like the catapult device. But I wonder if like perhaps when we're thinking about like, because last time we also discussed, not with Suzita, but with you and I, we discussed the idea of like what happens with all of these other narrative pieces or like all of these other components that could eventually enter in. like the flag format or like all of this. So like maybe there's a way to like with the space that I built, like harness some of those things in there. And then for the actual device itself, like the architecture that you built holds that, you know? So, and like maybe there's a way that they integrate together. It's like we literally like stick those two spaces together somehow or something.
Yeah, I think this really ties in with what we started with on our first or second meeting, that since we have no space, we can do whatever we want.
Right.
And so I think it's like a nice way of tying the whole loop together, or the whole circle together. Yeah, but I think we can merge our two types of architectures. I don't know how yet, but because this DNA thing is really interesting, and the way that the rooms look at each other.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would imagine this in a, I don't know, in virtual reality, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it would work. But I think we should identify the. So now we have the rooms, or a number of rooms. I think we have to identify the objects that we have came up with so far, and or could create. So I think that is the task that we have collectively,
Okay.
because then we can, if we know in this hypothetical scenario what we have, and funnily enough, tangibly, we can place them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is crucial to mapping the space. It's like we're curating a non-space, or curating a space that we have to create ourselves.
Yeah, I love that. Um, what, let's see, AutoCAD gives you, is it DXF files? Is that right?
No,
Or
DWG.
DWG? Okay. Um, I could send you, because I could export this space to a DWG file and send it to you, and you could mess around, and then you could also send me your DWG, and I could put it, like we could literally merge these two digital files together on both of our sides and kind of work with those a little bit too if you want.
Yeah, I think we can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like I think, again, I think it's really interesting to consider like the strange like freedom and ease it is just to kind of assemble this space in this weird area. And I think we could probably, it'll probably help us kind of construct that narrative as we're going as well. And then, yeah, along with all of these other components, how they actually kind of, excuse me, how they kind of inhabit that space too. It becomes a really good question.
Yeah, I think this is what we have to do, because